Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. We're doing a Star Frontiers video, but it's something I'd like to know for other, not just Star Frontiers referees, but referees of anything where you've got a modern world, a modern style of game. And that is, how do you deal with friends and family? Now, I don't mean in real life, I don't mean your friends and family, I don't mean people constantly interrupting you, walking in your game session and asking if you want to, do you want to order a pizza? Like, no, I don't mean friends and family in your real life interrupting your game. I'm talking the friends and family of your characters. Because in anything, I ran into this a lot in Star Frontiers, where it's like, I have, as part of the premise of my campaign, my characters are going around in cities and big settlements, and in some cases we're dealing with like the origin story of where they've started. And without, like, in the modern era, we are all very, very tied in to our network of people that we know, people we are related to, people that we have made friends with, co-workers, etc. There is this whole social network of people around us, and that impacts our lives on a personal level. But when you're in an adventure, in a Star Frontiers or any modern era campaign, how do you handle that? Like, okay, it's fine. Historically, the biggies are like Dungeons and Dragons, even Gamma World. You're dealing with a small society focus. You're dealing with something that's probably just got the town, maybe a city, but this is not anything where your friends and family either exist or have any major repercussions to your day-to-day life. As a character, whether you're in a town or a city, if you're a ranger, maybe a bad example, if you're a magic user, if you're a wizard and you live in a city, you're probably not constantly interrupted and involved with your friends and family in a close-knit group by any stretch. You are ready to leave that city at a moment's notice. No problem. And you probably do. You probably go off on your adventure with the rest of the party. No problem at all. Even if you're a thief, part of the guild, and you're doing some special project, or you've got an assignment, go get me that silver medallion from the Count. Okay, sure. You're still kind of a loner in a way, even in a big city. And I think a lot of stories that have involved these plot elements, you're still kind of all on your own. In a D&D setting, you and your party of adventurers are about the largest family unit you ever have to deal with. But it's fine. That's the nature of the beast. I mean, if all of this stuff is inspired by Lord of the Rings, you get the idea there. Like, Frodo leaves the Shire with Samwise, and they go and they meet Legolas, and they meet up with Aragorn, and they become a group, and they travel around. That's kind of the main premise of all Dungeons and Dragons, or that's the foundation of Dungeons and Dragons plot lines. Great, no problem, that works. And in Gamma World, you could argue very similar things. Society has broken down, so you and your townsmen maybe go off to seek new resources and ammunition and fuel for your vehicles, all that kind of stuff. But you're in this small circle of people, a small circle of friends. How is it anything beyond a post-apocalyptic or medieval scenario? How do you handle the main day-to-day interruption of your family and your friends into your adventuring life? You probably leave. Like, that's what happened in my campaign when I talked about Bubba and his big, long, sprawling adventure. He started on Zicket, and he met the only other Dralosite in town, and they were just a couple of characters. They were at odds with various people in the town and eventually left the town. But that feels very Dungeons and Dragons-esque, When we had other campaigns that dealt with, like, Port Lorraine, the big city, I was always struggling with, like, how is it these technicians and gun people and medics, how come they don't have any friends or family that have reminded them, oh, by the way, don't forget we've got that reunion to go to, and so wanted to borrow your car? How come the stuff that impacts us in real life every day never impacted any characters in a science fiction? Or I guess you could also apply this to Wild West, maybe not Wild West, but like certainly top secret spy stuff or superheroes. I mean, my God, you just have to look at modern superhero movies, whether it's a good example recently, the Blue Beetle. His family has a major impact on him as a heroic character in the story, and there's lots of comedy that ensues based on the fact that he's got this interrupting family always getting on his case all the time. I haven't seen the movie, but this is from reviews that I've heard. Blue Beetle is, I think, a good example of like, yeah, family getting in the way. And they do that. And same with friends. A lot of your friends probably get in the way of the stuff you want to do. I very much appreciate my friends, don't get me wrong. This isn't me bashing friendship or anything like that. But this is like, if you're coming up with a campaign in Star Frontiers or anything that's modern or futuristic, you're gonna have to address that family and friends get in the way. Or if not get in the way, you gotta come up with a reason why they are not a factor, because they are a factor in everyday life for us in real life. Why is this not interrupting things for you in your campaign? You know what I mean? I'd love to know how other people have handled this. A good example from video games, and I haven't played this myself, but I've heard people talk about it, is in Starfield. Apparently there is a whole section that deals with the storyline involving your parents. You are connected to what your mother and father did in some way. Again, I apologize, I haven't actually played the game myself. But I think you are involved in an adventure plot element that has roped in your family. Your parents are involved in some plot device, and you've got to go and handle that. Kind of a similar one, not really, but sort of, is in Fallout 4. In fact, Fallout 3 as well. In Fallout 3, you're looking for your dad. In Fallout 4, you're looking for your kid. So again, you've got that immediate connection to family going on. What do you do to handle that as a referee in a Star Frontiers campaign or in any modern superhero, anything that has regular modern everyday cities that we would recognize? How do you handle that? A funny one that I had two examples from my Star Frontiers campaign that I think I nailed it. I was very proud of like, hey, I got this element that I was grappling with, I got it to work, and it was kind of funny in some ways. One of them, again back to the Bubba campaign, when he left Zicket and went to Turladrom, which was that Space 1999 Moonbase Alpha type of city, he went through a variety of adventures, many of which I've already detailed in my other video. The biggest one being the shampoo conspiracy. But one of the things that happened in there, I took it as a compliment. I can't recall exactly the adventure, but Balgrub had encountered somebody and they had left behind like a security key, and he grabbed it, and then he and Bubba were somewhere to use the security key, and they encountered the person who dropped it, just passing, because it was near his place of work. So he was, I guess, looking, where did I left that security key? And they passed each other, and it was like, hey, that's mine! And it led to a little bit of a chase, and that was part of the storyline. And my brother, playing Balgrub at the time, made a comment that it sort of hit me. That's what I was going for. He said, what are the odds of me running into this person on the street? This is ridiculous. Not ridiculous, but like, this seems kind of hokey and funny, and it's like something from a Seinfeld episode. And I thought, yeah, thank you. I'll take that as a win. That's the sort of thing. In Seinfeld, there's a lot of coincidence, and George Costanza's mom and dad are a whole big shtick, a big source of comedy. And I was like, yeah, that to me makes sense. Seinfeld often dealt with, here we are living in this big city and things can happen and you can run into people and what's going on. That was exactly what I was aiming for. So thank you, Steve, for making that comment, because I took it as, thank you, that's what I wanted. My real life inspiration filtered into my Star Frontiers campaign, and I like that. The other one, I haven't talked about this campaign yet. It's a biggie, and the Bubba one was 3 parts. This would be like 7 or 8 parts. I don't know if I want to really go into it, if I get enough requests, maybe. But suffice it to say, there was a situation where one of the characters was kidnapped, we'll call it, and sort of placed into a fake living situation that he didn't quite know who he could trust or what was going on. Why am I in this family situation? Like, he had a wife, he had a house, and he was like, no, this isn't right. I'm not this. Somebody's pulled strings to make this happen for me. I don't know if I like it. And there was always a feeling among the rest of the party, like, okay, we got to get him out, but we don't want to alert anybody. And his wife, who was an NPC, was maybe planted there by the people who created this fake world, or maybe she's an innocent who doesn't really know. But she became quite a strong, stoic character that was always going on with, like, where are you going? Why are you hanging around with those people? What's this all about? And my favorite moment, I will never forget, they had grabbed him, and the rest of the party had grabbed this guy placed in this life and had managed to secret him away. And now he's on the road to being, getting off the planet, and we can get back to the adventure that we were on. But his wife was chasing down the clues and was rapping on the door of one of the other characters. And my favorite moment was Daryl was the one playing the guy who's like he's the owner of the apartment. She's banging on his door, and he was like, he looked at the people, he's like, oh my God, it's the wife. I don't want to answer. I'm going to hide. And I thought, oh my God, here we are. You are a gun-toting, stellar warrior, traveler, adventurer who has taken on a bunch of crazy monsters. You've dealt with alien conspiracies. You've been an adventurer in Star Frontiers, and you're cowering in the bathroom because his wife is banging on the door. That's comedy gold right there. And I thought, yeah, that's, to me, a perfect example of, like, how family and friends can be a huge influence in a story, in a way. And I'd love to know, like, again, you've all got a campaign going on, and I'm sure at some point you have had to go into a city, or maybe you've got some characters who are living in a city. Family, friends, jobs, taxes, all of these things, dentists, all of these things must be in some way these cobwebs attached to your adventurers. How do you handle that? How do you get them to live that world in a realistic way? Or do you just throw it to the side and go, no, everybody's like a Frodo and Sam. You've entered this town, you don't know anybody. It's just easier. And I admit, it is easier. You know what I mean? Dealing with all that politics. But it was like, well, we got to talk about friends, so why not? So that's where I'm coming from on this video. Anyway, that's it for now. Please let me know if you've even tackled this topic, and if not, I warn you now, you are going to have to deal with it somehow. Until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.